Real sharks swam into the scene, and no one yelled "cut." The actors screamed for help, but the crew thought they were just killing the scene. This actually happened during a take in 1977 off Florida's coast. The French title of Jaws 2 almost translated to "the teeth of the poop." Producers scrambled to fix the disaster before international release. So how did Jaws 2 nearly become the first Hollywood shark attack caught on film? Let's find out. Today, I'll show you 20 real, weird, and dangerous facts that made Jaws 2 one of the most chaotic sequels ever filmed. Number 1. Real sharks swam near the teen actors, and the crew thought their panic was just good acting. The camera rolls, a group of teen actors shriek on cue, except this time they're not pretending. Real hammerhead sharks begin circling the boats off Navarre Beach, Florida. The teens yell, wave, panic. But the crew, far away, filming with long lenses, assumes it's just brilliant acting. The scene was scripted to show chaos after all. But what they were witnessing was unplanned, unscripted, and dangerously real. One actor later recalled thinking, "This is it, we're going to be shark food." The boats quickly regrouped as safety teams rushed in. It took hours to settle nerves. This moment shows how filming on real oceans blurred reality and fiction, creating scenes so authentic they risked lives. And this wasn't the only moment nature took control of the production. Number 2. The shark's teeth once all fell out during filming like a bad Halloween costume. Imagine spending millions to build a 25-foot mechanical monster, only for its entire jaw to fall apart mid-shot. That's exactly what happened when one of Jaws 2's animatronic sharks suffered a hydraulic failure during a saltwater shoot. Its rubber gums sagged, its fiberglass teeth popped out. Crew members compared it to a Halloween prop melting in the sun. The saltwater had corroded internal valves, a mistake they swore they wouldn't repeat after Jaws 1. But the ocean struck again. Repairs delayed filming for days. For a sequel banking on the shark's terror, this was a crisis. Some crew just laughed, others feared the studio would pull the plug. The monster now needed dental work, and that's only the beginning of the production's mechanical mayhem. Number 3. Fired crew members were sent home with surprise plane tickets like a Hollywood breakup. No dramatic confrontations, no shouting. Just a quiet envelope slipped under the hotel door. A plane ticket home. That's how Universal removed unwanted crew members during Jaws 2's production shakeup. When director John D. Hancock was fired after 18 days for his darker vision, much of his team was dismissed too, but unofficially. "You just weren't called back," one crew member said. Others were simply handed one-way tickets. It was silent, swift, and corporate, as if erasing a subplot from the script. This passive-aggressive exodus left the remaining team shaken. A new director arrived. A new tone was set, but the ghost of Hancock's version lingered in the deleted scenes, and even in a few final cuts. Speaking of strange tricks, wait until you hear what actors had to put in their mouths. Number 4. Actors used ice cubes in their mouths to hide their breath in chilly scenes. The ocean looks warm and inviting on screen, but those dawn shoots? Freezing? Actors' breath kept fogging on camera, ruining takes. So the crew turned to a simple trick: ice cubes. Before action, teen cast members would pop cubes in their mouths to cool the air they exhaled. It dulled the vapor, keeping the illusion of summer intact. Some complained of toothaches, others just dealt with it. It was a low-tech fix for a big-budget problem. No one watching would guess the tropical scenes required frost-bitten lips and chattering teeth behind the smiles. And that wasn't the only time actors had to fake the heat. In fact, one star loved the sun a little too much. Number 5. Roy Scheider was so tan-obsessed, his skin tone changed between scenes constantly. Roy Scheider, back as Chief Brody, knew the camera loved him, so between takes, he'd rip off his shirt and catch rays. Always. Makeup teams begged him to stay in the shade. Continuity supervisors pleaded for consistency. But Scheider tanned hard, and his skin tone changed noticeably from shot to shot. One day he'd be golden bronze, the next, sunburnt red. It drove the editing team mad. You can spot the shifts in wide shots if you look closely. Scheider joked about being solar-powered, but the crew stopped laughing after a while. His vanity may have broken continuity, but his charisma held the screen. Still, he wasn't the only force of nature taking over the production. The final showdown needed an island, so they built one. Sort of number 6. The island in the climax was actually a fake floating barge made of plastic and foam rocks. Cable Junction looks remote and jagged on screen, the perfect final setting for Brody vs. Shark. But it's a lie. The island was a floating barge disguised with fiberglass rocks and foam cliffs built from scratch in the Gulf of Mexico. Why? Because the shark platform needed deep, stable waters, so they built their island where they could engineer the ocean beneath it. But it came at a cost. The structure swayed, actors slipped, equipment tilted. Some crew members refused to step on it without life vests. Anchors barely held. Yet the illusion worked. On film, it looks like solid land. Off camera, it floated like a carnival raft. And when storms rolled in, the island drifted toward Cuba. Number 7. The ocean chute faced jellyfish storms and hurricanes like nature didn't want this movie made. Every day on set, nature fought back. Swarms of jellyfish forced chute delays. Tropical storms capsized equipment. One rogue current pulled a lighting rig out to sea. A hurricane watch halted production for days. Locals joked the ocean wanted revenge. The crew lost hours chasing floating props and stabilizing barges. Director Jeannot Swark said, "Every day we survived was a miracle." Boats had to be re-anchored hourly salt spray-wrecked cameras. Weather forecasts changed by the minute. It wasn't just a shoot, it was survival training. By the end, producers said the real antagonist wasn't the shark, it was the ocean itself. But Brody wasn't done fighting bureaucracy either. His next enemy was a town council and a blurry photo. Number 8. Brody uses a photo to prove a shark is coming because that always works in sequels. Midway through Jaws 2, Brody bursts into a council meeting clutching a grainy photo. He claims it's the eye of a new shark. The council scoffs. But Brody's desperate. It's the cinematic equivalent of shouting, "I told you so," with a blurry Polaroid. The scene mirrors real debates about evidence versus instinct, and it reflects a unique shift. In Jaws 1, we feared the unseen. In Jaws 2, we try to rationalize it. The photo scene feels oddly bureaucratic, as if a sea monster requires paperwork. The metaphor runs deeper. Authority figures ignoring proof, trusting comfort over caution. It's oddly timely, and it sets the stage for the next generation to take the lead, literally sailing into danger. Number 9. Local kids cast as teens got stuck in real ocean chaos and thought they might drown. They were cast as extras, teen sailors, cannon fodder. But some local Florida kids hired for Jaws, too nearly met real peril. During one scene, waves picked up fast. A few sailboats veered off course. Some teens panicked. They screamed for help, and the crew, thinking it was a scene, kept rolling. Safety boats finally intervened. Later, one actor admitted, "I thought we weren't going to make it back." The line between acting and actual fear blurred dangerously. Thin parents weren't thrilled, but the raw fear on film? Chilling. The kids became part of horror history, not just fiction. And still, the biggest prop of them all kept breaking down, one jaw at a time. Number 10. The mechanical shark's mouth jammed open so often it looked more goofy than scary. You'd expect a $1.5 million shark to terrify. But Jaws 2's mechanical beast had other plans. Its jaw hydraulics locked constantly. Mid-roar, the mouth froze open, revealing gears, wires, and foam teeth. Some crew nicknamed it Goofy Bruce. Saltwater corroded valves, wires shorted, one take, its entire lower jaw detached. It looked more like a parade float than a predator. The actors struggled to react convincingly. Editor Neil Travis recalled cutting around the malfunctions frame by frame. The shark was supposed to be terrifying. But some scenes ended up hilariously surreal, and the costs kept rising, which brings us to the bloated budget no one could explain. Number 11. The film quietly cost nearly $30 million, and nobody really knows where it all went. Jaws 2 wasn't supposed to break records for cost. But as delays piled up and equipment failed, the budget quietly ballooned. Official estimates placed it at $20 million, but crew insiders insist the final tab crept past $30 million. For comparison, the original Jaws cost just $9 million. Where did the extra money go? Daily sea shoots ran $80,000. Shark repairs drained hundreds of thousands. Location changes, weather delays, and director swaps stacked costs like falling dominoes. Yet the final film doesn't feel lavish. Critics wondered how a modest sequel burned through blockbuster funds. Producer David Brown shrugged it off. It'll take what it takes. And so it did. But some of that waste started early, like rebuilding boats they couldn't even match correctly. Number 12. The wrecked Orca boat shown early on didn't even match the one from the first movie. The Orca is iconic. Its sinking in Jaws is one of cinema's most famous final shots, so when its wreckage appears at the beginning of Jaws 2, fans looked closely. Too closely? The hull? Wrong shape? The paint? Off-tone? The nameplate? Different font continuity had gone overboard. Why the mismatch? The original Orca had been scrapped, and Universal didn't rebuild it to spec. They threw together what looked close enough from memory and old stills. It was a small scene, but sharp-eyed viewers noticed immediately. For a studio obsessed with spectacle, the oversight was bizarre. Yet that wasn't the worst visual deviation that came from a director who saw the sequel very differently. Number 13. Jaws 2's first director got fired after 18 days for making the movie too moody and artsy. John D. Hancock walked into Jaws 2 with a bold idea: make it somber, psychological, and haunting. He imagined Amity Island still traumatized, Brody unraveling emotionally. The studio expected thrills. Hancock gave them shadows. After 18 days of shooting foggy docks and isolated beaches, he was quietly removed. The crew were stunned. He was making a different film, one said. Universal shelved his footage and rebooted the shoot. Hancock later called the experience traumatic. Yet a few of his scenes survived in the final cut. He became a ghost director, haunting the reels. The tone of Jaws 2 changed fast. Quiet tension turned into a loud spectacle. Still, a few early shots carry Hancock's shadow, hinting at the film he tried to make. And that lingering tension leads straight into the next strange problem the crew never saw coming. Number 14. The shark almost drifted into Cuban waters during a storm. During one night shoot, the floating shark platform snapped a line and began drifting out of range, straight toward Cuban territorial waters. The crew scrambled to track it using spotlights and radio signals. With U.S.-Cuba tensions still high in the 1970s, losing a 25-foot mechanical predator in international waters wasn't just a logistical nightmare. It was a political one. They recovered it just miles from the edge. That's how close Jaws 2 came to starting a different kind of Cold War crisis. And speaking of mixed-up visions, some of the fired director's work made the final cut, number 15. Some scenes from the fired director's cut still made it into the final movie. You'd think a studio firing a director would trash every frame, but Jaws 2 tells a messier story. Several scenes from John D. Hancock's original version remain in the finished film, most notably the beach opening and quiet establishing shots of Amity Island. They have a different tone, eerie, minimal, slow burning. That's because they come from a different vision. New director Janos Swark sped things up, made the teens central, added action. But patching the movie together left fragments of the old one stitched in. It's like watching two directors argue silently through editing Hancock's ghost lingers, his style out of place among explosions and teens screaming. But maybe that strange tension gave the movie its odd charm. Either way, the shark got more screen time this round. Number 16. This time they showed the shark early on, thinking the surprise was already spoiled. In Jaws, the shark stayed hidden for over an hour, and it worked. In Jaws 2, the monster appears much earlier. Why? Universal believed the mystery was over. People already know what the shark looks like, one exec said. So the sequel leaned in. Big reveals, full shots, gaping jaws, but the fear didn't land the same way. Critics noted the tension dropped. Viewers weren't scared. They were just waiting. Even director Janos Swark admitted the choice had risks. Without the slow burn, suspense faded. Audiences got spectacle, but lost the dread. Ironically, trying to go bigger made the shark feel smaller, but the scares weren't gone entirely. A new fear was rising, from the teens themselves. Number 17. The teen sailing scenes feel more like a horror slasher than a shark thriller. Suddenly, Jaws 2 feels like Friday the 13th at sea. A group of sun-kissed teens sailing alone? It's the perfect setup for a slasher, except the killer is a 25-foot shark. One by one, boats tip. Screams echo across open water. The shark becomes a masked villain, stalking, waiting. It's no accident. The script veered into horror tropes, aiming to appeal to younger audiences. Director Swark later acknowledged the change. We leaned into the ensemble, and it shows the second half feels like a teen survival flick. That tonal shift wasn't accidental. It was a strategic move to capitalize on the rising teen horror trend. But on set, the fun turned real. These weren't seasoned actors. They were locals, many of them scared for real. Number 18. Actors kept slipping on the fake island because it was coated in slick fiberglass. Cable Junction wasn't solid ground. It was a barge covered in fiberglass rocks. Pretty on camera, slippery in real life. Actors fell constantly. The crew slipped with equipment. Safety rails were added late. Even the shark platform operators struggled with balance. Why was it so bad? The plastic coating became a slick nightmare once wet, which in the ocean happened every few minutes. But the location was too crucial to skip. They needed the illusion of an isolated island. So they filmed anyway, with actors clinging to foam boulders between takes. You never see the terror of walking on that thing, but it's there, just off screen. And even the shark, once again, needed a new identity to keep things fresh. Number 19. The new mechanical sharks were called Fidel and Harold because why not Bruce, the original shark, was gone. In Jaws 2, the new mechanical beasts needed names, and the crew got creative. They called them Fidel and Harold. Why those names? No one knows. Some say Harold came from a cranky rig operator. Fidel? A joke about the shark constantly drifting off course toward Cuba. The names stuck. Crew members talked about feeding Fidel or resetting Harold between takes. These weren't just machines. They had personalities, malfunctions, tempers. Harold jammed less but looked stiffer. Fidel was more expressive but prone to sinking. Giving them names helped keep morale high in a grueling shoot, but the oddest naming problem came when the film went overseas. Number 20. In French, the title almost translated to the poop, so they had to tweak it fast. The original Jaws title in French was Les Dents de la Mer, the teeth of the sea. So naturally, Jaws 2 would become Les Dents de la Mer 2. Except, spoken quickly, it sounded like Les Dents de la Merde. That's right, the teeth of the poop. French distributors panicked. It was too close for comfort. They reworded it in some regions to avoid the embarrassment, adding subtitles or calling it Duxium Party to keep distance. For a film trying to sell suspense and scale, being mistaken for toilet humor would have been a disaster. The issue was minor in the grand scheme, but still one of the weirdest translation fumbles in sequel history. Click the next video on your screen right now before it disappears. Another secret's waiting, and the deeper we dive, the weirder it gets.